everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am so excited to start filming this reading vlog for you guys. So I decided to film my experience binge reading the Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo. This is a series that has been on my TBR for well over a year, and I'm a little mad that it's taken me this long to finally get to, because now that I have started reading it, I totally understand the hype, and I just totally understand why people think that this series and these characters are so iconic. So I'm just gonna hold up the first book here. This is Six of Crows, and just to tell you a little bit of what this is about. We are essentially following 6 different characters. In the synopsis that's actually like on the inside of the front cover, it says there's a convict with a thirst for revenge. That is Matthias. And then there's a sharpshooter who can't walk away from a wager. That's Jesper. Next is a runaway with a privileged past. That is Wylan. Then we have a spy known as the Wraith. That is Inej. A heartrender using her magic to survive the slums. That's Nina. And then a thief with a gift for unlikely escapes. That is Kaz. Essentially what's happening is Kaz is definitely their leader. He has gotten all of these convicts together to pull off a heist. Specifically, I don't think this is very spoilery because this is all explained in the first like 50 pages. They are trying to rescue a man from the ice court of Fjerdan. So this is a Russian-based fantasy world. I'm actually going to show you a picture of the map because there's like quite a few little kingdoms going on here, but Fjerda is up here. The story mainly takes place way down here in this little island called Kerch, but yeah, this is quite the world we have going on here. This is also kind of a companion duology to the Shadow and Bone trilogy or the Gracia trilogy. It is pretty much unanimously agreed upon that this duology is so much better than the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I have to say that I definitely agree after only reading like 100 pages of this. So specifically, I am on page 154, that is chapter 13. Something that I'm really loving about this book so far is that we are getting all 6 POVs of these different characters. They are all so different from each other. They think in really unique ways. And I feel like Leigh Bardugo is just doing a fantastic job of writing exposition and introducing us to these characters within the first chapter that each character has. I knew who these people were. What I also find really intriguing about this book is that most of the main characters we're following are normal or ordinary people. The only character that has magical abilities in this cast of characters is Nina, and she is a heartrender. So essentially a heartrender can rupture your cells, burst your heart in your chest, steal the breath from your lungs, or lower your pulse so that you dropped into a coma, all while never laying a finger on you. So they can essentially control people's bodies. Like they can control like people's nervous systems, if that makes sense. So that is Nina's ability, but all the other 5 people in this group, none of them have any magical abilities, and I just find that so interesting to follow all these characters that are ordinary in an extraordinary world. So yeah, I'm just having a really fun time with this. I haven't read any of this today, so as soon as I'm done filming for the day, I'm definitely going to jump back into this, and I will probably update you guys at some point tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, and right now I am on page 312, and that is chapter 26. I'm definitely going to be able to finish this today because I have this last chunk. It looks like I have about 30% of the book left, and I have quite a few things that I want to discuss. First of all, I forgot to mention this in my first clip yesterday. I never discuss major spoilers in my reading vlogs. I will be talking about characters and their relationships with one another, but personally, I don't consider that to really be major spoilers because usually the authors do a lot of foreshadowing with like who's gonna be in a romantic relationship with who and things like that. So I am loving this right now. Also, can we discuss like these stunning black sprayed edges? I just love how like the black looks against like my neon colored tabs that I'm using. I will say this book is pretty slow going for me. I'm definitely not speeding through it. That's why it is taking me about 3 days to read. But at the same time, it's not dragging or anything like that. But I definitely can't just speed through this book because there's just a lot going on in this plot, and there's a lot of information that is dropped here and there by Leigh Bardugo. I am loving the writing style so much. It is absolutely insane to me how Leigh Bardugo went from writing the Grisha trilogy only a few years before this duology, because I feel like it is night and day between these two series as to like the quality of the writing. I've talked about the Grisha trilogy quite a bit on my channel, but I was overall kind of disappointed by that series. I really like the first book, which is called Shadow and Bone. I gave that one 4 stars, but for me and for a lot of people, the series went downhill as it went along. I gave the second book like 3.5 stars, and then I gave the last book 2 stars. So it's definitely not the best YA fantasy series out there, but I do love how it establishes the world, and I do like a lot of the characters. But this book is just absolutely incredibly written, in my opinion. I'm just loving all the characters so much. Also, I wanted to mention that we only get 5 POVs in this book. I have noticed that she has not included Wyland's POV, and I'm assuming it's because she wants to keep secrets of his past from the reader for now. Now I'm really curious to see what Bardugo has up her sleeve with his character. Also reading more new adult fantasy to me, which I wish that was an actual genre and it wasn't just adult and young adult. But it's reading new adult to me because these characters, even though they're all like 17, they definitely all seem and behave a little bit older because they've all lived really rough lives and they've had to grow up. Definitely a darker and grittier fantasy than I feel like most young adult fantasy novels are. There's literally a scene where Kaz rips out someone's eyeball from the socket. So yeah, at the same time, Bardugo doesn't go too far in depth with like the gore or anything like that. Like, we just know that these things happen, but she's not going too much into detail about it to make us sick to our stomach. I always really appreciate. Question that I wanted to pose really quick. Does anybody know if Shelby Mahurin, who wrote Serpent and Dove, was inspired to write this because of Six of Crows? Because Nina and Matthias's story is very close to Lou and Reed's story from this book. Because in this book we have Matthias, who was like a witch hunter slash Grisha hunter. They're kind of known to be witch hunters because of the way that they punish Grisha. And then we have Nina, who is a Grisha, and there's definitely kind of a romance brewing between the two of them and their banter with each other and everything like that. It just reminds me so much of the relationship between Lou and Reed. So if anybody knows, I would definitely love for you to comment down below. I also find it really interesting to see how these different characters have dealt with their past traumas and what their specific past traumas have led to in their lives. We have Kaz Brecker, who is like pretty much deathly afraid of touching people skin to skin. He's always wearing leather gloves, and to get that backstory was so interesting, but also really heartbreaking to see. Also gotten a lot of information about Ineja's past and what has led her to where she is today, as well as Nina's, but I think we're still waiting to hear more from the other major characters. And last but not least, I wanted to leave this clip on a really great quote that I loved. This is when we're going into Ineja's past, and this is something that her father told her. This is on page 136, and he says, "Many boys will bring you flowers, but someday you'll meet a boy who will learn your favorite flower, your favorite song, your favorite sweet. And even if he is too poor to give you any of them, it won't matter because he will have taken the time to know you as no one else does. Only that boy earns your heart." And I put a little heart next to it, as well as a pink tab. Pink tabs are what I use for either romantic scenes or quotes having to do with love. So that being said, that's going to be it for this update. I am about to go immediately start reading the rest of this book today. Things are going down right now. It's getting a bit crazy, but I cannot wait to see how this book ends, and then I will start Crooked Kingdom tomorrow. right, hey guys, what's up? It is later on Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday. And I just finished Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Oh my god. Oh, first of all, sorry for like all of the background noise. There's definitely people doing lawn work. This book was incredible. And I mean, I knew this the entire time that I was reading it, but I'm definitely giving it 5 stars. There's no way that I could give it anything less than that rating. Wow. I mean, up until the very last few pages, there were just so many plot twists and so many things going on, and I'm still just in awe of how well written it is, considering how mediocre the Grisha trilogy was. Also, the romances in this book were like just so good. Like, I'm just feeling so many things. It's not even like anything happened with the couples. It's not even like any kissing or any like actual love scenes happened, but just like man, it was just so good. I mean, part of me kind of wanted Kaz and Nina to be together, but I totally understand the relationship that Kaz and Inej have and that Matthias and Nina have. But like, could you imagine how iconic that couple would be, like Nina and Kaz together? But I mean, all of these characters are iconic, so I mean, I can't really complain. But yeah, I am so excited to get to Crooked Kingdom. I'm probably gonna start it at some point tonight. I'm very excited to see what direction the story goes in next, because this ending, like I said, was just crazy. Like, the final scene in the climax kind of reminded me of the ending of one of the Throne of Glass books. Like, I'm thinking specifically Queen of Shadows, like with just how many plot twists there were and how good the final scene was, and just like, I don't know, how perfectly it was all done. It definitely gave me those vibes. So yeah, I am super pumped to get to the second and final book in this duology, and I will probably update you guys at some point tomorrow. Okay, hey guys, what's up? It is Thursday afternoon. I thought it was well past time to give you guys an update about Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second and final book of the Six of Crows duology, of course. I have actually read quite a bit of this. I am on page 265, that is chapter 17. I think that is just about at the halfway mark, and I actually don't have too many thoughts right now. I'm definitely enjoying this book a lot, but I don't think I'm loving it quite as much as the first book, and I think one of the reasons for that is that, you know, like I just said, I'm halfway through the book and we've really only had one major event happen so far. Most of this book is like little action scenes here and there, and at this point we have been strategizing about how to take this man down. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil who the character is or what exactly is going on, but yeah, that's like the basic gist of it. That I am loving about this book is that we are finally getting a lot more of Jesper's POV. We are getting his backstory, and we are getting Wyland's POV, and I am just loving it so much. He is the sweetest little cinnamon roll who can also make bombs and explosives, and that's really badass. So it's been really great getting his backstory, but of course very heartbreaking. I mean, all of these characters' backstories are obviously very heartbreaking because that is why they have become the people that they are today. Something else that I'm loving is that we're finally getting actual romantic development between Nina and Matthias, and that's really great, but I need more romantic development between Kaz and Inej. I just need it to happen. Where I just left off, they were all getting ready to finally put the plan into motion and to get things going. So I'm really excited to get back into the book as soon as I'm done filming this. And then I wanted to discuss about this book and this duology as a whole that I keep forgetting to bring up is the fact that Kaz reminds me of Celaena Sardothien from the Throne of Glass series. So if you've read that series, you'll know kind of what I'm talking about. But both of these characters are just so cunning and so smart and manipulative, and the way that they come up with their schemes and their plans is just so genius. And when I was reading the Throne of Glass series, every time that one of Celaena's plans was like coming to fruition and like actually happening, I was always just like so shocked and just in awe of how amazing it was. And I get that same feeling with Kaz's plans as well. They're just both amazingly brilliant characters, and I love that both Leigh Bardugo Bardugo and Sarah J Maas kind of keep the reader in the dark for as long as possible, but they also don't keep the reader in the dark for too long, because I feel like that's kind of a fine line. And with that being said, I think I'm just gonna keep on reading and I will update you guys at some point tomorrow. All right, hey guys, what's up? It is Friday evening and I finished Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo like an hour or so ago, and I definitely have a lot of kind of conflicting thoughts about this. I am overall giving this a 4-star rating. I think that the pacing kind of ebbed and flowed in some places. I think that there were some sections where the pacing was really great. I have absolutely no issue with it. And then there were other sections where I found it a little bit tedious to get through, if I'm being honest. I do think that Leigh Bardugo could have edited out like maybe 50 to 75 pages of this as well. And I think that would have helped with both the pacing and the plot overall. I didn't love this story, if I'm gonna be honest. I think that the villain that they're fighting the whole time, I think he's kind of lame. I think I overall just expected more from the story of this one, given how iconic Six of Crows was and how blown away I was by that story. But yeah, those are the only negatives I have. I'm definitely sticking to my 4-star rating. I think that there are a lot of brilliant things going on in this book that definitely outweigh the negatives that I have for it. The characters are definitely my favorite part and the best part of this duology, in my opinion, and I think a lot of you guys who have read this would agree with me. Once again, the romances in this were just phenomenal. We finally get Wylan and Jesper getting together in this book, and I love their pairing because they challenge each other in different ways. You know, Jesper teases Wylan, and I love that dynamic, but at the same time, Wylan definitely challenges Jesper to face his demons and face his issues, and I really love that as well. Also, of course, Nina and Matthias. I mean, their pairing was already introduced in the first book, but we get a lot more of development with their relationship in this book, and I loved it so much. I love their characters together. But Kaz and Inej, are you kidding me? Oh my god. I don't even know how to put into words how I feel about them as a couple. One thing that I actually really love about their relationship is that it's not an easy romance. I feel like usually in YA fantasy, the romance comes so easily to like the two main characters, for instance. It's usually that these two characters have a lot of great banter and then they kiss and then a romance starts and that's the end of it. But that is so not the case with this relationship, and I love just how complex and interesting it is between the two of them. I talked about this already, but Kaz has a big problem touching people with his bare hands because of what went on in his past, and so that's why he wears leather gloves all the time. And Inej is also dealing with a lot of trauma because she was forced to work in a brothel. So it's so interesting to me that they both have these issues with being touched, although in two kind of completely different ways, because Inej can touch people, but she like flinches at like the opposite sex touching her. I loved this one scene between the two of them. I think it was towards the middle of the book where they both were trying to work through their issues with each other. Kaz is trying to touch Inej, and Inej says something like, "It's not easy for me either." So that's when she kind of goes into how her trauma has affected her. And I just thought it was a beautiful scene because we had the two of them finally communicating in a really intimate and vulnerable way. Yeah, I do really appreciate Kaz and Inej's relationship because I think that it serves as really great representation for people that have gone through sexual trauma or any kind of trauma where they have difficulty now dealing with people in any kind of intimate way. And then there's a scene at the very end between Kaz and Inej, and I actually started crying. It was just so ridiculous because they were simply just standing next to each other and holding hands, but it was just something that was so beautiful and I really wanted to happen, and so when it did, I just lost it. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for my thoughts on this book, and with that being said, that's going to be it for this reading vlog as well. I'm so glad that I finally read this duology, and now I totally get the hype. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I would love it if you would consider pressing that like button and subscribing, and I thank you if you do. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!